Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to another episode of the Final Point podcast. My co-host Josh is in the building. Today's going to be a playoff matchup episode. We are here, people. We are in the postseason, as most of you guys already know, and Game 3 is upon us tomorrow. So we are here recording to give our thoughts about the first two games. And Josh, why don't you take it away from us?
Before we begin, the basketball gods have blessed us with a Miami Boston series. And I just want to tell those basketball gods, fuck off, because I did not want a Boston and Miami series. So it's funny how life works itself out, right? You have a team in the Boston Celtics who have had arguably one of the best regular seasons in terms of records, in terms of a winning record. Um, and it always seems to happen this way. There's always one team that is going on a trajectory of championship, and then there's always one bump in the road. And sometimes that bump is in the first round, sometimes that bump is in the Eastern Conference Finals. Our fucking luck, it's in the first round. So, your Miami Heat are really fucking pissing me off, and I have a couple points and I have a couple questions for you. So let's get it started with these. I have these questions. So I just and listen, I know you're biased with some of these questions, but they're valid questions, right? And
Yeah,
they're actually proving
very
to
much.
be right. They're actually these questions have already been answered in my head. Okay, a lot of shit's going on in my head. Yeah, it's bats flying around my fucking head right now. So do you think that the Miami Heat are trolling the NBA by not taking the regular season series, the regular season series?
Yes, yes.
They are at this point.
I would have to assume yes because I've been saying it since our first recording that they're trolling us. This is not what I'm accustomed to seeing. This is not the team that they talk about. This is not the team that they say they are. But what I find very interesting with this team that keeps is a reoccurring theme. They like to be the how am I how do you put it in words?
Villains,
They yeah, in a sense they like to be the villain. They
assholes.
it seems like that they like when they are in these really awful positions or positions where there is a pretty good chance that they're either going to fail. And time again, we have seen them rise to the occasion and succeed most times. Um, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it is a reoccurring thing that continues to happen with this team. And just like how we saw, I mean, you even know between me and you, like I and still I hold my hope that they can that there's a possibility that they can potentially beat Boston, but the odds and talent that's up against them is immense. It's the odds are stacked against them. They there is no margin of error that they can play in any game that they play Boston. It's either you play the perfect game or you lose. So really my one what I'm trying to see from this playoff run right here is can they sustain? Because I think that has been the biggest problem with this team, even throughout the regular season, is sustaining. There would be these small spurts that they'd be able to get off and play great, and then it seems like they kind of run out of gas. So as long as this train is riding with gas, I'm all for it. But
Do you think that it has anything to do with the fact that the Heat for the past 2 seasons have been playing with house money. They have nothing to lose. They're the
I
AC.
do.
They have zero pressure on them to win. There's zero pressure on themselves to win, and I think that with any sport, that plays a part in it. It has to play a part in it because there's no way an eighth seed can. Now listen, we're only 2 games into this series. I expect the series to end in 6, but there's no way that an eighth seed can play the way they play 2 seasons in a row.
It is it's
You know what I'm saying?
the odds are very low for
Right.
that to even happen.
Do you think I think that pressure has a lot to do with it. I mean, because when you're going into something and you realize that, look, I got nothing to lose, they're gonna go all out. So I think that plays a part in it. But I think that the Heat are trolling the NBA because they're basically telling Adam Silver, look, we don't take your regular season series. We're gonna do just enough to make the playoffs. 8th seed, 10th seed, 5th seed, it doesn't matter. But once we're in there, then we'll actually start to play. And I think that's what's getting me mad about the whole thing is because maybe they figured something out. But this season wasn't so much on purpose because they've had injuries. They've had a lot of injuries.
I was just gonna say that
Yeah.
they did. It seems I don't think it was planned this year because they did have a lot of unfortunate injuries and Jimmy being out for a lot this season. And
But one thing I will say about the Heat that not a lot of other teams have, and maybe these goons are just on my Twitter timeline. But one thing the Miami Heat have are by far the most annoying fan base for a
yeah,
team for a team that hasn't been that successful. Given the LeBron era, which we expected LeBron to get at least 2, we expected that. But besides that, they haven't really seen much. And there's a fan base that's extremely toxic and they're just trolling. Miami Heat won one game, and you would have thought they fucking won the championship on Twitter. The Miami Heat trolls were out in full force.
I think also what played into that is like I was saying, the odds
Yeah.
of
They're like,
winning.
fuck it, we're the underdogs. Fuck it.
Yeah,
That's why I was telling you there's no. And you know what? I spoke to some friends in Boston today, and they feel the same way. They're not saying anything because we're in a lose-lose situation. If Miami Heat wins, it's they won versus the 1 seed. Celtics suck. We're depleted, and we beat you guys. And if they lose, it's like, well, oh, so what? We lost. So what?
yeah.
We were supposed to lose. We got no Jimmy. We got no Verzier. Duncan's
That's
hobbled. You guys are the number 1 seed. You're supposed to beat us.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
why no one, you know what? That's the angle I'm taking. I'm not saying shit from now on. If it happens, it happens because we're not going to win in this. But I do think that Adam Silver does need to take a look at this regular season and either shorten it out or something has to change because again, the Heat were injured. Yeah, that's fine. But teams turn it up in the playoffs, and Miami Heat is they're the blueprint. They know exactly how to turn it on. I don't know what Spo tells them, but
I think Spo loves this. I think he likes when he's in these positions
yeah,
because I think honestly 20 it has to no, it has to be more than 20%. He probably gets like 40 to 50% in of feelings inside of him. Like he is so happy that he gets to take a playoff game from the number 1 seed at home with a bunch of role players. And I think that is what he enjoys more than anything.
do you think that the Heat looked at that San Antonio Spurs team from 2014? that completely shut out the Miami Heat in the finals. And do you recall what defense Pop was playing against LeBron?
Was it zone?
I'm going to answer that for you, friend. It was his own. Pops played a zone against Miami because they knew that they could not stay in front of Miami. They knew it. They knew LeBron couldn't shoot. They knew D Wade couldn't shoot threes. And if you play man, they're gonna kill us. And that's what they did. And I think Spo, as much as it irritates me, it really does. But um I think with the right pieces, that doesn't work. And I think Miami Heat has just one key piece that keeps being overlooked, and that's the defensive prowess of Bam. Bam is Bam to me is the best on-ball defender in the NBA. And that's no knock against Gobert. Gobert plays a lot of help side and he defends the rim. But in terms of switching everything, Bam is the most elite.
He's a machine, man.
And that 2-3 that Miami Heat runs, it's called a matchup 2-3 zone. I used to run that in AAU when I used to coach AAU middle school ball. We used to run that matchup zone. And the way that the key to that matchup zone is you have to have a big that can move. And he's the last line of defense. And that's what Bam is. And in a way, it's kind of brilliant because teams either they don't know, but I'm not gonna say they don't know how to beat it. Everyone knows how to beat a zone, but it's like almost like if they have like a memory block. I don't know what it is about the zone that Miami runs that the only team that was able to expose it was the Nuggets because Joker stands in the middle and he just kind of, you got shooters everywhere, and that was the biggest part of the finals last year that I saw that I knew that was going to happen. I'm like, look, Miami's going to get toasted because they only have the zone. That's everything else, the offense and all that. Listen, Hero knocking down them shots, Caleb Martin having 20 points. All right, we can give them credit, but at the end of the day, they're all NBA players. I mean, they all know how to play basketball, right? They all can knock down shots. Either you miss shots or you make shots. Miami Heat makes shots. They made the shots last game versus Celtics. But everything goes off of that zone because they're not expending any energy at all. They're basically telling the other team, we can't guard you straight up. But as a team, we can try to stop you. And I don't think that works on every single team. It's for some reason it works on the Celtics. And it's working for Miami. And I see Spo. Listen, game three, it's going to happen again. Celtics are going to go on a little run. Miami's going to kind of give them a different look. And then they're going to go right back into that zone. And if Boston cannot figure out that zone, they will lose. Boston will lose in possibly 6 or 7 because of that zone.
So I think, and actually, I'm gonna get into my first point real quick. I think Boston giving up game 2 was a big deal. Not in the sample size of it being one game, but I feel like that one game that they just gave up to the Heat has now instilled hope into the Heat, more hope than what they already had. And now that they performed on stage at their home court, the way they did, breaking a franchise record.
Do you see them hitting 24 threes? How much? What did they have? 24 threes?
It was
do
like
you see them hitting 20?
No, no.
But that's the only way they're going to win. They have to hit that many threes. They have to.
Yes, but
they couldn't miss.
Can they have another good shooting night? I do believe it can happen. I believe it can happen more now, actually.
But are you saying that if they don't hit that many threes, they still beat Boston? And if Boston doesn't have a bad because Boston had a terrible game.
Yeah, they did.
They missed a lot of open shots. The zone was bothering them, but they missed open shots that they don't normally miss. So if Porzingis doesn't have another 6 point game, whatever, how many points he had, 6 points game, and Miami doesn't shoot that way, there's no way Miami's winning that game. There's just no way. Just because of the sheer talent on Boston, and Miami's shorthanded. They
Exactly.
have to shoot lights out for the next 3 games. For at least 3 more games, they have to shoot lights out.
Or at least a pretty good clip, a pretty good they got to be at least over 47% as a team from 3. They have to. There's like there's no ifs or buts about it. But what I'm trying to say is, does Boston now feel the pressure? Because before it was Miami going into game 2 with the pressure. They dropped the first game horribly. They looked like they were about to get steamrolled, swept. They go in, take game 2. Now Boston, I feel like, and even Porzingis said it too after the game, they didn't know what to do. They were thinking a lot. They didn't have a good shooting night.
Right.
A lot. We saw a lot of repetitive things that we've already seen, between the series already between these two teams. So now going into game 3, I think it was a mistake for game 2 being left to the Heat, because now I feel like the Heat are going to really press
This
in
is what
this
I
game
think.
3. And I know Spo's cooking up something
Right.
different.
Spo is gonna draw up plays to get Hero open, plays to get Martin open. But one thing we're missing is that, and I knew this was my fear. I knew this was gonna happen. Bam sees Porzingis guarding him, and he just sees food.
Yeah.
Bam's mid-range game is crazy. I mean, he does in that mid-range, he's money. And what the Celtics have to do is they have to run the Miami Heat off the line. They got to run them off the line and hope for help side defense when they drive. Don't give them any threes. They gave up way too many threes. And
Yeah,
okay,
they let
to
him
answer your question, do they feel pressure? This is why I think they can't feel pressure. This is why I think they can't feel pressure. First of all, it's not the same team as last year. They have no Jimmy. Jimmy's not coming back this series. We already got that. So
Yeah.
trust me, that's in Boston's head. We're thinking about
sure.
that. Second of all is game 1, Miami never led.
Yeah.
Boston led the whole time. It was a blowout. Game 2, Boston led most of that game, some of that game. And then Miami busted it wide open in the end, and that zone prevailed. There can't be pressure on Boston because I think they know they're the better team. I mean, everyone knows that, but you can't allow a team to shoot that many threes. You have to have some adjustments. You just got to run them off the line. Make them beat you. Make them beat you another way. Bam is gonna get 25 to 30 points a game. Bam. I don't know what is it with Boston, but Bam cooks. I don't know why he didn't do that versus Denver. He disappeared versus Denver last year in the finals. But versus Boston, he cooks, man.
I thought he played pretty well in the Denver.
But you know what? In terms of defense on Jokic, he did not.
I thought he did, actually.
Jokic, he killed it. He killed you guys.
Well, he did, but in terms of talking about Jokic, he limited him as much as humanly possible, and probably he limited him way better than anyone I could think of in the league, at least on him. So I'll give him that. And I know Jokic feels the same because he said it before publicly that Bam's one of those tougher defenders.
Yeah.
And I get it. But yeah, he still cooked us either way. That's the thing about Jokic. He'll cook anybody. It doesn't matter who's on. An alien, he'll cook them. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So, but to your point about the pressure thing, I don't think they could feel pressure because it was just one game, and those mistakes, those are fixable mistakes. You allowed way too many threes, man. And then you didn't match Miami's defensive intensity on the other end. Miami was the more aggressive team, and Miami said Boston was the more aggressive team in game one. So
Yeah.
it's clear that in this series, the more aggressive team is going to win. And listen, and that's true on every level of basketball. Because when I used to coach AU, I used to tell those kids, listen, the more aggressive team is going to win every single time.
Who wants it
It
more?
never fails. Players play, tough players win. And Miami's proving that we have to match their intensity and run them off the line. And game three is gonna say a lot about how this series is gonna go. Because even if Boston wins game three and it's a tussle and it comes down towards the last quarter, that's still not a given that Miami's just gonna lay down for
No.
for game four. So I'm curious to see how. Listen, do you know who's on the hot seat? My man Joe.
Oh yeah.
Joe Mazzulla, you're on the hot seat, my man.
Can he adjust?
Joe, if you cannot adjust to beat a 2-3 zone for the second year in a row, my man, you're out skis. You're out. I'm sorry, man. There's no reason why you cannot figure out a way to beat a 2-3 zone. You have one of the tallest players in the NBA. Put him in the fucking middle, spread it out, and play it through him. I don't understand how difficult that is. I don't get it.
Now, with I feel like what I think what we do need to talk about is what goes on since you are the Boston fan here. What goes on with Jason Tatum in ending quarters sometimes? Because it's very weird, at least for me as like a Heat fan watching. I acknowledge that he's a great player. Him and Jaylen Brown are
He's getting that.
amazing
He's getting
players.
that rap, man. He's starting to get that rap, man. I
And
don't I don't know, man.
it's almost like it's not that he shies from the moment, but he has these instances where like he just kind of disappears and then the offense doesn't run through him. And I really don't know what to make about that because I have noticed that more and more as we watch these playoff series year in and year in. What do you make of that?
Listen, it's he's young, but that excuse can only take you too far. It can only take you too far. The he's young thing. I'm starting to run out of excuses for Jason Tatum. During the Golden State finals that year, I was baffled. I couldn't understand why JT could not rise to the occasion and just dominate because we know he can, right? It's not a
Yeah.
question of can he. We know he can, but it's starting to be troubling. It really is, man. If we get to make it, not if when we make it out of this series, it has to be something that he has to address, man, because this is what separates the good players from the great ones. That clutch gene. And right now, everyone's picking Jason Tatum as the new face of the league. But let me tell you something, man. There's somebody in Minnesota that's just as young as Jason Tatum, and he is an absolute maniac.
He really is a psycho.
He is a killer, man. And Edwards is a killer, man. And I don't know. I don't know if that's maybe something that Jason Tatum just doesn't have.
And also
maybe he just doesn't have that.
And also with Ant, it looks like he has fun.
Yeah, no,
it looks
he
like
has that
having,
Kobe. He has that Kobe thing. Like, look, it's about to go down.
Yeah,
You're in my way.
It's like almost if you're playing like just a pickup game and he's just there balling. Like he loves it.
So I think it's too early to say Jason Tatum does not have that killer gene. I don't want to do that to my boy, man, but
he's still young. So
he's still young, man, and there's a lot of pressure on him. Yeah,
he could develop it.
But dude, you've now had three, counting this year, You now have 3 chances on the biggest stage to prove that you are the. On any given night, Jason Tatum is the best player on the court. Best player on the court. And he has not looked it as of recently. He has not. Game 1, he had a triple-double. Game 2, he still scored 25 points. As crazy as that sounds, he still scored.
No, yeah, he still had a
but
good,
that's irrelevant.
goodish game.
Right, that's irrelevant because when we go down 4 and 5, you got to take over, man. You got to call ISO and take over. And he's not. He hasn't been doing that. So I don't know what's going on with Jason Tatum, man. I'm gonna just see what happens with the rest of these playoffs. When we get past Miami, there's gonna be another challenge and another challenge after that. It's not gonna get easier. It's not gonna get easier. It's only gonna get harder from here. So I don't know, man. As of right now, I don't think he has it right now. I hope he proves me wrong.
Do you think that Jaylen Brown should be more of that guy for this team?
I think that Jaylen Brown plays good off of Jason Tatum, but I think they kind of both know when one's not going and the other one goes.
Yeah.
Like I think game 2, Jaylen Brown just kind of took over right away, right? He made a couple shots. Yeah, he made a couple shots, but in the beginning of the game, he made a couple shots.
Yeah.
And but the thing with Jaylen Brown is Jaylen Brown kind of waits for Jason Tatum to kind of come with him, like, hey, come with me, like let's do this together.
He'll start the offense avalanche and then see if it. But once it doesn't, like how it happened in game 2, it also looked like Jaylen Brown kind of just shied away.
But I will tell you this. This is what I did notice, right? Game 1, and I hope Jason Tatum, I know you're not watching our little piece of shit podcast, but if you are listening, let me tell you what the difference is. Game 1 and game 2 of your performance, my friend. Game 1, you knew Miami was going to do that zone. They were going to drop on you and you were going to have to shoot threes. And instead of shooting, you diverted to creating and you got a triple-double. Triple-double. Okay? You recognized what they were trying to do and you weren't really trying to look to score. 17 points, 10 rebounds, 11 is whatever you had. It was a triple-double. You didn't score that many points. But guess who else got going? Porzingis had a good game. D. White had a good game. Right? Hauser had a good game. Game 2, the bench was non-existent. I don't even think Pritchard scored. I think Hauser had like 1-3.
Yeah, I don't think
Jason Tatum was trying to score game 2. And he has to get out of that mentality of just like trying to take over and go ISO. No, you can't do that. You have to kind of like play it by what they're giving you. And you played right into Miami's plan. Miami's like, let's just make Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown shoot all they want, and we'll shut everybody else out. And that was Miami's plan. And guess what? Hats off to you, Spo, because it worked. They weren't dumb enough to recognize that's what you wanted them to do. Let Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown take all the shots they want.
Yeah,
and the rest of them are not going to kill us because that first game, the rest of them killed Miami. That's how Miami lost. D. White 20, Hauser 15, 5 fucking threes. Porzingis had a good game.
Yeah, that is true. And now that we talk about that, I wonder if in this upcoming game tomorrow, Tyler Hero had the 14 assists, I think nearly 24 points or 21 points last game. Career highs for him. So hats off to him, especially playing in game 2 after game 1, where he only scored like 10 points. Is there another level that Tyler Hero can maybe elevate his game? Or is there still something that we're missing? Because honestly, we haven't really seen him in many playoff games because of injuries. And the only time we saw him go off really was his rookie year in the bubble. And that's really been it.
No, listen. I'm not biased towards Tyler Hero because I know I'm a Boston Celtics fan, but I'm a Tyler Hero fan. But since he's gotten in the NBA, he's disappointed me because he hasn't really added much to his bag. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. Tyler Hero is not taking anybody off the dribble a lot. He may have spurts where he does it, but he's not doing that. Not that you have to have that in your bag to, you know, to be elite, but for 6'4", you got the advantage. You're quicker than most players that are guarding you, right? So you should have that step back, pull back jumper in your bag. You don't. Tyler Hero relies off of coming off of screens. And if you go under the screen on Tyler Hero and he's on, he's money. He's at that part, he's elite. That's how he killed us game 2. Tyler Hero was coming off of screens. He wasn't missing anything. He wasn't. He was just on. Newsflash to the Boston Celtics: Tyler Hero can shoot. I think they forgot that. He can shoot.
Yeah, they left him open.
Yeah, because he had a bad shooting game 1, so they gave him game 2. But in terms of, I don't think Tyler Hero can elevate his game more because I think this is what he is. He has to be part of a system, and that's not a bad thing. Klay Thompson was part of a system. Unfortunately, I don't think he has it in him to just be that main number 1 guy. He's not.
I think also his biggest issue is getting to the line.
He doesn't like contact. He doesn't like contact. I don't see him finishing a lot at the hoop. Catching and ones. Tyler Hero is he's just what he is right now, and that's just he's a really elite shooter coming off screens. Better than Duncan Robinson, because at least Tyler Hero can give you 1 or 2 dribbles and then give you that. Duncan Robinson doesn't even do that.
Yeah, Tyler Hero has more of some offensive creativity that Duncan doesn't have.
Tyler Hero's good for the 2 dribbles and then step back. He's good for that. But in terms of like ISO and like, let me cook this dude, he doesn't. Maybe he has it in his bag in practice, because I'm sure he has it.
His pull-ups seem to be his strong suit when he's in rhythm, because I think he's a rhythm player.
Do you know what? Listen to me. Do you know what Tyler Hero has to become in order to be elite? And I don't think he has it in him. But Tyler Hero, I know this is gonna sound crazy, and this is gonna be maybe like a crazy take, but Tyler Hero needs to become more of a point guard. I'm sorry, he's 6'4". He's not Allen Iverson. He's not the most athletic 6'4" guy. If we go down the list of 6'4" shooting guards, he's not high on that list of most athletic. He's not jumping over people. D Wade was jumping over people. 6'4". Tyler Hero, unfortunately, needs to become more of a point guard and let the rest of the game that he already has complement his facilitating of the offense.
And it's actually interesting that you say that, because the Bulls game for the play-in, he also played more of a point guard role.
Yeah, he did.
And the team benefited from it. They were amazing that game, and he was great that game. Same thing happened in game 2, because in game 1 it looked like he was trying to score. So he was trying to put on the heavy duty of the scoring on him in game 1, and Boston recognized that, and they completely shut him down in game 1. Game 2, he did that point guard role, almost like a combo guard point guard role is what he did. But we've so far, from what we've been seeing, that has been a lot of success for him, is when he's in the facilitating mode and he is making plays for his teammates.
You're right.
I also say too, he was never as good of a passer that he's been this season. So I'll give his props for the passing, because it seems like he's been working on the passing. So maybe that is something that he can add to his game, is the passing ability and playmaking. But honestly, I think you're right, and I think he needs to put in more of a facilitating role, because he can get that attention from the defense in order to open up other people like Bam or Caleb or Jaquez down the lane.
Yeah.
This all works really, and it works well with his game because, like I said, I think he's it seems to be he's a rhythm player, and by making the plays and playmaking and getting involved in the offense with his teammates, it seems to give him a good rhythm on his shots. And there goes the 22 threes from game two. So I think you're right. I actually like that take. I don't think it's crazy at all, to be honest with you.
Because you have to play him honestly. Um, when you're facilitating and you're creating shots for other people, for your teammates, what happens is it spreads the floor out, and that's going to create shots for himself. And you
Yeah.
have to play him honestly. You can't go under the screen on
Hmm.
him, right? So I think that's only going to help his game. A good example of that was what happened with Tyrese Maxey when Harden left, right? Harden
He
was the
took the
point
point
guard,
guard
but
position.
I always said Maxey is actually the point guard.
Hmm.
Maxey is a
They
point
played
guard.
they played
Yeah,
the offense through him like a point guard always,
right.
even with Harden being there half the time.
But when he was playing with Harden, he was playing more of a shooting guard role. Maxey's not
Correct.
a spot up shooter, and I don't think, and this is a compliment to Hero. I don't think Hero's just a spot up shooter. I think he's been made to feel that he is, maybe because Jimmy sometimes takes that point forward role, and the addition of Rozier is not helping the development of Tyler Hero. I'm sorry, I know Rozier is a good compliment to the Heat team, and you guys need him desperately right now, but I don't think that's going to help the development of Tyler Hero. I think Tyler Hero needs to be more of a point guard, a floor leader, and he has an elite shot. So if you have a point guard with an elite shot, you have to play him honestly, and that's only going to spread the floor.
And w- the spacing thing that you said, I think that's been the Heat's problem this whole season is the spacing. They have Jimmy, Bam, Rozier, and Tyler. All four players are deep in the paint half the time. They are clogging the paint with their rolls.
Not
Um,
game two.
well, yeah, because guess we don't have Jimmy and we don't have Rozier. So now the flooring has opened for those two players now. Um, I think you're right. I think he should play the point guard, and I think we should honestly play Terry more as a shooting guard because his ISO game is killer. He can beat people off the dribble. He can finish at times, even though his finishing percentage isn't that great. And he can hit the spot up threes. He fits that shooting guard along with Jimmy playing the forward position or on the help defense, and then Bam just anchoring the paint. But I do like that point. I do agree with you also on that. And I don't know, man. I honestly, my prediction for this game three, uh, I think Miami takes it, but I think the Celtics take game four and we head back to Boston.
My prediction is that the Celtics watched the film, they saw what we saw, and we all saw a Miami Heat team that was wide open, a Miami Heat team that was confident in their defense because you weren't breaking the zone. We saw a Caleb Martin get reignited. He channeled his inner Kobe Bryant again. And I think that this if I'm Joe Mazzulla, okay, call me Jose Mazzulla, right? I'm taking Caleb Martin completely out of this next game. We cannot afford to have his confidence level rise because Caleb Martin is. I have news for all Miami Heat fans. Caleb Martin is not who we saw last year. He's not. He proved it in the regular season. He's not. He had plenty of chances to take that. The Heat have been injured. He's had plenty of chances to rise up and be like, and I know you even asked me that too. Like, where is this Caleb Martin at? Where's he at? He's not that guy. The Celtics are giving him confidence. We have to rip that confidence right out of his chest. Take Caleb Martin out the game. Hero and Bam are gonna get theirs. Hawkins is gonna get his. We cannot have Hero Bam and Caleb Martin with their confidence all the way high. We have to take one of them out. Bam is not going to be taken out the game. That's clear. Hero is going to come off them screens. Spo's going to draw up those pin down screens. He's going to come off screens. He's going to hit shots. Duncan Robinson's going to hit shots. That's not Caleb Martin's game. Caleb Martin is a streaky, high confidence player. And if he has any confidence game 3, if he has that same level of confidence and we don't crush that, maybe you're right. Maybe the Heat take game 3 and maybe we adjust game 4. But I see Miami going down in Miami that game 3. I see Boston going up 2-1. Miami possibly taking game 4. And then this may play out to if Boston does not figure out this zone, this may go out to a game 7. And the game 7 is going to be in Boston. And that means nothing because look how he played game 2.
Yeah.
We don't have home court advantage.
If it goes to game 7, that will be insane.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't see it going to game 7. But if it does, I'm going to be all here for it, man. I'm going to go crazy. But I'll say this, man. They're telling everyone to make sure that they're on time at the Heat Stadium tomorrow at 6:00.
That's physically impossible. Let me tell you something.
I agree with you.
Miamians have better things to worry about than the Miami Heat. All right, they're gonna be at the bar drinking, catching a breeze at the beach.
Bayside.
They'll show up when they show up, right? Around the second half.
And I understand that too. It also doesn't help the fact that the stadium is like on a bay, like it's literally on the edge of a bay.
Yeah.
So there's like only like 1 or 2 ways to actually reach the stadium in gridlocked Miami half the time. So I don't know how that's going to go, but I know that place is going to be a madhouse. It's going to be really loud. Mickey Arison brought back the playoff shirts, which he hasn't done in a very long time. So
the white hot.
Yeah, so this game 3 is going to be a big game. Honestly, real quick, I gotta say, I am so impressed about our rookies, the way they've been playing in this playoff series. Jaquez, Jovic.
Let me touch on Jovic one time. I think that considering how the Damian Lillard saga has played out in Milwaukee, I think that Pat Riley and Spoelstra both, they stood their ground and they said, we are not giving up the farm for Lillard. You're not getting Jovic. You're not getting Jaquez. You're not. They're off the table. And I think that is going to that is going to come up big for Miami. If not this season, 100% next season. Jovic is 6'10", passes, shoots, plays defense. And if you all watch the Olympics, Jovic was that guy.
And he can run. He can push the ball down the court.
He's a stud. Miami, he got lucky with him. They got lucky with Jaquez, and I give props to Pat Riley, man. He listen. We don't know whose choice it was. We don't know. We weren't in that room.
Who made the call?
Yeah, who said we're not giving them up? But clearly they were not available. They were not available.
Yeah,
and we see why they were not available.
Well, to be honest with you, I do think one of them was possibly available for that trade, and it was turned down.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think any of them were available. I think they wanted to just give up Kyle Lowry because who ended up leaving?
Correct. Well,
I think it was Kyle Lowry and maybe Caleb Martin or something, but I don't think Jovic or Jaquez were available.
It definitely Tyler was included. Definitely.
Tyler Hero was definitely included. It was Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry, and I think Spo and I think Spo was thinking, look, if we lose Kyle Lowry, we're okay. We can figure it out. If we lose Hero, I think we'll be okay. We'll figure it out. We got Duncan Robinson. We got Jaquez. and the secret weapon, Jovic.
Yeah. And he's been having these quiet, impactful games. Because even game 2, I mean, he only scored 11 points, but he had like 3 blocks, 2 steals, 11 rebounds. He was all over the place.
But he's making the right. I mean, he had a couple turnovers, but he's making the right decision. He looks a little more calm. And I always wondered why they weren't giving him an opportunity with those young guys. You got to give him an opportunity to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Let them go out there and fail.
They need the experience.
Yeah, so like they're gonna end up learning. So I think that was a really, really, really good move.
And I think this is big for them to play on this stage for the very first time for their life, to be in this opportunity and show out the way they've been playing. It's huge, man.
Listen. The confidence level is rising in South Beach, and trust me, not only the Boston Celtics fan faithful, other fan bases are rooting against Miami because we don't want another disaster that what happened last year, where this AFC just ran through everybody and got to the finals. We don't want that again. We don't want another Miami and Denver matchup. I'm sorry, I didn't want that again. I know what's gonna happen. We don't want that.
A finals.
We don't want that again, because
finals and Jimmy comes back.
Because let me tell you, this East is looking weak. If there was any year where the Heat can just run through everything, they got the number 1 seed, second guessing themselves so far. With the Knicks, I'm not scared of the Knicks. Not scared of the Sixers. Not scared of the Bucks. The Magic.
Not scared of Orlando.
Come on, the Magic, really? Come on. So, dude, I mean, this is a weak playoff.
Hey, and as well, just happening down today, Dame's hurt. So that Milwaukee team is even more depleted than it was now. So
Miami's done. Indiana, I've said it all season long. Indiana has been my dark horse, and here they come.
Yep.
Here they come. That's a team that I would be scared of, because they're healthy, and we all know the healthiest teams win.
Yep.
And they're healthy, man.
They're healthy. They're young.
Yeah. Hey, if this thing plays out, for those of you who don't know, I will be in Florida vacationing this week, and what a week that I choose. It looks like if we go to a game, first of all, I will see game 5 down in Florida. I'll be down there for game 5. That's for sure is going to happen. If we see a game 6, that's Friday. That's May 3rd. Game 7 is on Cinco de fucking Mayo.
Oh man. one of us is. You know what? I feel like both of us will probably be wasted on that day, because one of us comes out as the winner.
Yeah, we get to watch how this thing plays out together.
Yeah. Which is going to be a great thing. Yeah, it's going to be great.
All right.
Well, guys, thank you for joining us for this playoff matchup episode. Thank you, Josh, for being here and giving your thoughts. We will see you guys. Probably,
the next podcast, it may not be after this, until after the series.
Exactly. So we won't be here for a while. We'll try to be.
One of us will be very mad.
Yeah, one of us is going to be extremely mad, along with the whole fan base behind them, screaming and crying. So it's either going to be the depleted Heat or the number 1 seed Boston Celtics. So we will catch you guys on the next episode of the Final Point Podcast. Thank you, and have a great night.
Stay safe, everyone. All right, bud.